What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, we're going to start installing our O2 wideband sensor from Auto Meter, and we're going to start off with putting the actual O2 sensor itself in. So I'm going to take myself a little carb cleaner, shoot down the sensor real fast, just because when I had the exhaust guys go ahead and install the exhaust, instead of coming back with a dust cover, this came back a little sooted up. So no big deal. I just don't know how careful they were with it or how careful you're supposed to be with it. So I'm gonna clean this thing up. Looks nice there. Wipe it down. Show you guys here. Now I'll point out real quick, you're supposed to put a little anti-seize on here. I cleaned up actually really good. Now they make some sensor safe anti-seize. I don't have any on hand, so I'm just gonna make sure I put it on real sparingly, but have enough there that it'll do its job in the event I ever need to remove this to replace it later on. Let's see here. I think something just like that will be plenty. So you can see my O2 sensor bung is installed right here. We put a nice 45-degree angle on it. They put it in a pretty damn good location. So this is real tricky to film underneath the vehicle. I don't really have a good mount for this. So I'm going to put down the camera, put the O2 sensor in, and bring you guys back and show you. Alright, so that's what our O2 sensor looks like installed there. Like I said, it's got a nice angle on it. I torqued it down to 40 foot-pounds. Manufacturer's recommendation said 35 to 44, so I just went with the 40. And I used a crow's foot to do it just because I don't have the right bit, so that worked out pretty well. I already went ahead and threw the sensor underneath the car. I'll go ahead and plug this in real quick. It just only goes in one way. Slide it into the connector. That goes across and kind of locks it in place. So I'm going to do that now, and then we'll start back on the top of the car. All right, so let's check out what we got going on here. So basically it comes down the center of the transmission tunnel on the passenger side, like I showed you guys. There's the wire right there. It's going to come up and over past my regulator, and then I got this grommet that's already in place right there above my reservoir for my hydraulic clutch. So I think I can get it through there. So what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut this too long so I can get underneath the dash here and work comfortably out in the center of the car, you know, kind of by the shifter, and just resolder everything back together and then go about it that way. Because if I were to try to drill any more holes, I got to deal with what's behind it, and I also got to deal with the trouble of getting my drill into place to actually make the hole. So I think that's going to look fairly clean, and we're going to get her done. So basically we just cut our wires to length, throw a little tinning on the wires, and then we're going to connect them all together and throw some heat shrink tubing across them. Alright, so I just got this flopped out the car so it's a little easier to see. Basically now this is going to plug into the back of the sensor, and we have 6 wires, but the instructions only talk about 5, and that's basically just because this ground here, they gave us a double ground. So I think it's supposed to kind of get worked in with a logger. It doesn't really make sense with the diagram, but we're definitely not going to complain about having an extra ground wire. So I'm not probably going to run a data logger right away, if ever, but I don't want to chop my wires. So that's going to be our blue and our black and blue. So I'm going to cap the ends with some electrical tape and then roll them up with some of the softer tape and get those out of the way. All right, so you're never going to see this, but I kind of purposefully left just a little bit of the wires exposed on the top. That way nothing to really catch, but if I need to see what I had going on a few years down the road, that'll kind of remind me that those are my wires I'm probably looking for. Now the next wire that I'm going to kind of wrap up and get out of the way is the brown wire. That goes to our wide open throttle sensor. Now I'm not going to put one on those today. Not really sure how I would incorporate it yet, but so we're going to wrap that one up separately. All right, so that leaves us 2 connections. Like I said, we're doubled up here on the ground. So all right, so I had a couple thoughts about how to wire this. One was without getting into the exact wiring of this, on these American Auto wire harnesses, the power comes in this connector. It goes to the constant voltage regulator, which I had to remove, and gets daisy chained across all of the gauges. So what I thought about doing was using a couple of these and daisy chaining off the end here, but that was going to maybe make it more difficult to remove it. I haven't really figured that all out exactly how I would have done it yet, but as I was removing this, I remembered that there are 3 connections here on the American Auto wire harness. I'm only using 2 of them. The third one is for an electrical speedometer. I'm running a mechanical speedometer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the wiring harness for the speedometer. I'm going to depin these 3 over here that I don't need right now, just store them just in case I ever needed them. And I'm going to use this, then it'll make it easier to remove my gauge cluster if I ever need to service anything back there. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect my depinned harness to this and show you guys what that looks like. So there we are right there, and I'm just going to run those back through around to my opening here, and we'll connect them to that. And then we have now a serviceable connection that won't give us too much other trouble if we got to get in there for anything. All right, so let's see what we've got going on here. I know I got a lot of extra wire, but I might move these later on. I'm not really too sure. So, okay, off that speedo harness, so basically a 12-volt ignition. We got the 12 volt on the ground, and then off that harness for the actual AFR, we got the black wire and the 12 volt with the fuse that I got from the auto store installed in line. Just for right now, ignore these 2 extra wires. Those are to hook up additional gauges that I'm going to have near this one. So we got a ground and the 12 volt coming off the harness for the AFR, and the vehicle's ground and 12 volt. And I'm going to hook them ahead and plug this in real quick and let's see if she fires up. All right, so let's see what she does. Now we got this in, time to get to work.